fastest show in sports.
There has always been this thinking process from some people that athletes need to just shut up. When it comes down to your sport, bat the ball, throw the ball, slap the puck, do whatever you need to do, but just shut the F up because you have no idea what's happening in your community. You're just an athlete. You're just another highly paid jock, and you have absolutely no right whatsoever to say anything on social issues. To which I have said for many years, bullshit. Because it is time. Sports is a perfect vehicle in standing up for social issues. These are coaches, players, owners, if you will, who have in front of them, they have a platform. They are given that platform. They are seen as local, regional, national, international individuals who travel the world quite often and sometimes are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. When it comes down to the shooting of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is a social issue that sports is speaking up for, and it is time. There is nothing wrong with this. This is exactly what sports is to be used for. It's not as if every single sport is, I'm going to go ahead and have a marvelous time watching the game. Okay, great, we get it. The games are there. You can enjoy the games. You can enjoy the athletes. But the athletes, the individuals, the teams themselves are a fabric of the community. And many times, it is inherent on them to speak up, to say something when it needs to be said. Thus, the Minnesota Timberwolves, magnificent.
We're saddened by the tragedy that occurred yesterday in our Minneapolis community in the loss of Renee Nicole Good. Our thoughts are with her family and everyone affected, and our hearts are with our community as we hope for healing and unity during this challenging time. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Notice how, right there near the end, somebody in a completely silent arena yelled, "Go home, Ice." And they were applauded for it. And I applaud them as well. Because when you have an opportunity to speak up, you have to use it. The Minnesota Timberwolves are part of the fabric of that community. You have kids, adults, corporates, sponsors, whatever, who are part of that community. These are players who represent Minnesota. They represent the town. They represent these people. And they did not flinch for 1 second in saying something that needed to be said in front of a large audience. And I know damn well that what we're talking about here right now is going to get a lot of snapback. There's going to be a lot of people out there who are absolutely going to excoriate me and will do the same thing for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because they'll say, how dare you? How dare you get involved in an issue when this is sports? This is playtime. No, this goes back many, many years to 1968. That's all I have to say. Because if you know what I'm talking about, then you know exactly what sports is to be used for. It is to be used for that ability to speak out and say something. And with the murder of an American citizen by what basically comes down to a jackbooted band of thugs who killed this woman in broad daylight, there is absolutely nothing wrong, and there is everything right with saying something, which is why maybe it's just inherent to basketball more than any other sport. But Steve Kerr is a head coach who has absolutely no qualms whatsoever in speaking his mind.
The Timberwolves held a moment of silence for Renee Nicole Good the other night. I wondered if you had a comment on the situation there.
Well, I'm glad that the Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death, and it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So very demoralizing, devastating to lose anyone's life, especially in that matter. So It's terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city. And I'm glad the Timberwolves came out and expressed that sadness.
Said really with a lack of emotion. Very specifically put, law enforcement agents who murdered an individual. A government that lies. And as I said, there are going to be people listening to this who will absolutely disagree, who will stand on the side of the government and say that what happened in Minnesota that day to Renee Good was exactly what she deserved. And there are those out there right now, and again, we're going to just go into this briefly, who are trying to draw a comparison between Renee Good and Ashley Babbitt on January the 6th, which is complete and utter nonsense. One was breaking the law, trying to help along an insurrection of the United States government, and the other was a mother who basically looked into the camera of an individual and said, "Hey, dude, I'm not mad at you." And she tried to leave, and she was killed for it. But the point here is sports having a voice. Agree or disagree with my opinion or anybody else's opinion on what happened that day, but understand it is important for sports, teams, leagues, conferences, commissioners, coaches, players, everybody involved to speak out and say something. Anyway, what I'm saying is you can go ahead and fall on either side of the issue if you want, but say something. Because it is rare. Here in this format right now, I have a format where I can speak to people, and I can reach millions of people in seconds. Granted, I don't do that, but somebody like Steve Kerr can, somebody like the Minnesota Timberwolves can, somebody like Juan Carlos and Tommy Smith certainly can, when it comes down to changing America for the better. So, if you're angry with me, if you walk away, I can't help that. I'm not going to insult you. I'm going to say that you are allowed to have your opinion just like everybody else, just like Steve Kerr and anybody else who speaks up. But let's say this and let's let it stick. Sports is an important part of our society. It is an important part of our lives. The people who are involved have that platform, have that ability, have that broadcast sense, if you will, to be able to say something. And I encourage them. And not only that, I encourage you to encourage them. Get them to say something. Get them to speak out. This is America. This is a place where you're supposed to be able to speak up and speak out about anything. Yes, there is a freedom of speech, and with the freedom of speech comes responsibility. Because when you say something, you are still responsible for what you said, and you have to answer for it. But you can certainly say it if you wish. Steve Kerr continued to speak out. Others speak out as well. Let's make sure that those issues, such as the murder of an innocent woman in the United States by a law enforcement individual, does not go overlooked. And while we're celebrating our sports, while we're having a good time rooting for our teams, let's also remember that many of these players and individuals, these men and women, are citizens. They're brothers, they're sisters, they're mothers, they're fathers, aunts and uncles. Some of them are grandparents. They pay their taxes like everybody else. They're Americans like everybody else. They have a responsibility and an opportunity to say something. So let's not just hammer away at them and say, "You're just an athlete, shut the F up and go away and play your game." No. Speak out. Say something. Be part of a movement that helps to change America for the better. And then we can sit back one day and we can all just enjoy our sports for what they are. But sometimes playing a game is secondary to what it means to play and look for the rights of the individual.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.